Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's Wealth Creation Show. Back to the Future, Jim. No, not the film.
Dun, 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 dun. McFly. Oh, it's not that one. It's Back to the Future with something else.
Back to the Future, though. But the film actually, and a lot of the things covered in the film do relate to what we're going to try and cover today, and it's more about thinking into the future of what you're doing, especially if you're running a small business, if you're doing a side hustle, if you've got things, thinking ahead and thinking about where you want to be and what your goal is, and then that journey to get there. You always tell me this when you're doing property investments. You always think of the end result and then work out how you're going to get there. Is that right?
Fun fact: I've watched Back to the Future over 50 times.
Really? I think
when it came out in the first week, we went every single day to the ABC cinema in Kirkcaldy to watch it every single night for 7 days in a row.
It was a really big film though, back in, what was the 80s it came out?
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Loved it. Jimmy Stevenson, myself, Sean, his cousin, my brother, and all the rest of the crew, the young crew, the Breakfast Club.
I mean, Back to the Future is such a big franchise still. I mean, do they not have they've got the Back to the Future ride in Universal in Florida?
Yeah, it's astronomical, but I really liked it, and I loved the story about the fact that how, again, it's all logical how everything fits in, and how you're changing your past. It's another lesson, isn't it? Mm-hmm. How if you change your past, how it could affect your future.
Yeah.
And this is the classic example at the beginning. We'll come back to what you said. Sorry, I'll come back to what you said. But this is, I'm on a roll. When the classic example at the beginning, when people go on social media and go, "I wish I hadn't married that person." Okay, you got kids. Yep. So you're telling your kids then you obviously didn't want them.
Yeah. In reality, that's
inadvertently you're doing that. Inadvertently you're doing that. You don't. Okay, we're back.
Well, I don't know whether that's my connection or yours.
I don't know what's happening today. I'm on broadband, full 1
gig. Yeah, mine's is full as well, and I was fine at this end. But anyway, but you're right, yeah, and inadvertently saying things like that, then you're kind of undoing what was previously a good experience. So yeah, thinking about your future and how your past affects that as well. But like I said, when you're in business and making a plan and thinking ahead, thinking about that end goal and the journey to get there is so important. But a lot of people shy away from that, because sometimes when you start to look at that process and that plan and have that plan for success, then it brings up a host of different factors, which include obviously your perceptions of maybe your self-worth. Then it brings up those fears about, can I actually do this? Am I actually capable of doing this to achieve this goal? So, I mean, fear and self-worth's a big thing in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Appearing real. That's effectively what it is. Yeah. And most people, nearly everybody, has allowed fear to hold them back at some point in life. There's a story that I always remember, and it was about the small boy or small girl. Can't remember what it was as such, but how he or she used to never want to walk past this gate because they saw this massive bulldog in the garden. It barked all the time.
I've heard this, yeah.
And they were terrified of it. So what they did was every I've probably told you it before, but every day they used to cross over the road and walk away, so walking past that gate. And someone actually took them up on it and went, what are you crossing the road for? And crossing back over again. Oh, well, that bulldog and the rest of it. And they went, but did you not realise that bulldog's actually really harmless? And the person took over at the bulldog and actually showed the bulldog, and the bulldog actually more or less kind of smiled, and it had no teeth. It was literally, it was literally just it was just happy to see them, and that was the point. But they actually had this fear that the bulldog was going to attack them. And
Yeah.
this is what we do as human beings. We allow, it's because we've got is it sentient thought and all the rest of it. We can think for ourselves. We can adapt. We can change. And we're a way beyond other normal day-to-day primitive animals.
Yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
are an
Definitely.
animal at a source anyway, so don't get away from that.
Hmm.
But we have lateral thought. We have individual feelings and all the rest of it. Look, it's been proved that animals have that as well, but we're
Hmm.
way beyond that in terms of our thinking and our knowledge, and we've grown and we've got bigger brains and all the rest of it. And that's the reason why, because our defense is our how we plan. That's our defense. I mean, we're pretty vulnerable at the face of it, but we have weapons and that we've made as a result to protect
Yeah.
ourselves. Whereas, a massive ape, silverback, like comes over and just basically
Stuff you.
melts you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. So it's the fear, it's the false expectations appearing real that people are allowed to hold themselves back over all the years. And that, when you think about fear, can compound as well. Think about the compounding it does in terms
Yeah.
of fear. That'd
And
be
you could build that
massive.
up. Build that up in your mind to something completely like, oh, totally consuming. But what we also can do, and I think a lot of people probably have done this and probably still do it, is we create scenarios of situations in our head that haven't even happened and let them have an effect on us.
Oh God, aye. Yeah, definitely.
That's a really
It goes over all the different permutations, combinations about what could actually happen, when in actual fact, only one outcome can happen out of that situation.
Mhm.
So why do you not just wait till it happens and
And
then
see
deal
what
with
happens.
it at that time? Or maybe just come away from it and think about how you need to deal with it at that time. That's
Mhm.
the thing. That's the classic example about the tariff situation with Trump. The rest of the world,
Yeah.
a lot of countries panicked. A lot of people panicked and the stock market dropped. And as the stock market was dropping, I was buying, buy, 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 buy. And I was
Always
buying.
looking for the opportunity.
Honestly, I was buying, and it dropped. The FTSE 100 dropped from 8,800 or something like that, 7,800. And I went, yeah, beauty, because it's
Mhm.
now recovered within a month.
Yeah.
So effectively, whatever I've put in has gone up by 1,000 points, divided by 7,800, because that's when I bought it. It's gone up by 13%. So my money has gone up by 13% that I put in 1 month.
In 1 month. Yeah.
As other people get greedy, now's the time to be fearful. But when other people get fearful, now's the time to be greedy.
Yeah.
And that's classic textbook case. Every single thing that's happened, I hate to say it disaster-wise, I'm just jumped in and bought on the way down.
Mhm.
So it's gone up. So I look at my pension, for example, because that's how I buy it and index the UK equities. I look at that, and then it says that's the return, but the return to me is a lot more because I'm buying as it's down. So that's overall return in the fund for the very start for everybody else in the years. But I'm actually making a lot more because I'm buying when it's going down and leveraging it when it goes back up within a short period of time.
And
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 it's
that's
other
such
people's fear.
and that's such a great example of thinking about the future, because you know these things are going to do full circle and come back up again in the
Of
future,
course, it is.
and you
It's
know
all the
that.
it's the past that's obviously reflected that and think this happens all the time.
Yeah.
And but what happens if it doesn't happen? Hey, we're all going to hell in a handbasket anyway, so who cares?
We'll all go down.
You've
We'll
lost
all go
it.
down there together.
Aye, you've lost it anyway.
Mhm.
It doesn't function as we stand, as it lives the now. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Society won't go on as it is. COVID, classic example. That's probably a classic example about what happened. COVID happens. Everybody goes, oh my God, how am I going to? Even I thought, oh my God, the tap has just been switched off on income because now we can't do anything. We're basically handcuffed. And it's like, what do we do now? And the fear, it came into me. And it's like, and then I thought, like, rationally, everybody else is going to have this as well. Something's going to be
Let's
done
look
about
at the
it. And then
opportunities here.
government steps in, goes, we're going to have to formulate this. And it's like, there you go. Now we know from past history. Now, because of that, if anything like that happens again, it's like we know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
and we know what's coming after it. Inflation.
Yeah.
So these are all the things to watch out for, and actually think, okay, I can plan for this. Let's build wealth, because inflation comes in, everybody panics, everybody starts to tank, everything starts to tank, and then you start to buy.
Yeah.
Or you buy just before inflation comes in, because you know that's coming. You start buying, it's like, inflation goes up, and then you sell it, or you put it into bonds to hedge it, and then you let it settle down again. You take it out of bonds, you put it back in the market, and it goes up again.
And that's what I picked up there when you said there is like you plan for it. You plan for the future because you know from the past what's going to happen. We'll take property investment because obviously it's going to be a good topic for using this as an example. And I said to you at the beginning there, like when you do a property investment, you look at the end goal and the whole process and what you want to achieve, whether it be 10 properties, 50 properties, whatever, and the process in order to get there, and meticulously think, right, okay, I'm going to plan it, and then see how it all works, and you know that route, and you know all the pitfalls, and you've taken into consideration things that can come into that and possibly have effect, and you've risk adverse that whole process to get to that goal, for the most part, would you say?
Yeah, but also take into account that any factors that might happen that I don't even know about yet. When I
And
when I when I
how do you
do
do
a
that
number,
then?
well, I make sure there's a big enough margin to be able to absorb that.
Right.
In disaster situation, I never knew I was so risk adverse, but that is a disaster situation. But I think it's because my experience and knowledge I've gained over the years, and the wisdom about watching everybody else, learning from everybody else, and the successes and failures that they've had, because I was taught extremely well by my mentors way in the beginning, at that time. So I know to do things like that. And I know also from other people who are far more successful than me, Buffett, for example, is like, hey, time, the passage of time, compounds everything. So don't be so quick to jump in. Yeah, jump in and get what you need to do now, but don't, just because you've got money to invest, it doesn't mean you've got to run in and do it now. There will be opportunities. Well, there'll be opportunities that come past you, or come to your doorstep now and again that you can just consider, but don't just jump at the first thing. I think people are genuinely quick to jump at the first thing because they think it's a race, or
They
they
just want
think
to
it's
get
going
on
to.
that merry-go-round. Yeah.
Yeah, they just want to do it,
Mhm.
but they don't realize that it could end up horribly wrong because it's not protected inside.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you can learn out of that. It's not protecting the downside is so I protect the downside. And it's one thing I never ever did until I got involved in industry as well. So when when people were sent on a day out, for example, let's send everybody on a corporate day out. I remember Willie McCall saying to me, because I was like, have you got the insurance in place for the staff on the day out? I went, what do you mean? Well, are they insured? If anything happens to them on our day out, we've paid for, because we're liable.
Mhm.
And I went, oh,
Never
I
thought
never
of
really thought about it like that. They went, well, does our insurance cover them? I went, I don't know. Well, go and find out then.
that.
I went, I will. And that's the sort of things I had to do. I used to call the insurers and went, are we covered for this? And they're, oh, well, you have to take out a wee bit extra policy. It's like, that's fine. If it's another couple of £100, okay, we're fine. We're okay. Just stick it on the policy. How many people you got going? X amount. For how long? Where are they going? What are they doing? Like, yeah, okay, we'll cover that.
Cover.
Now, this was just, I mean, that is really anything can happen. And that's why I think that's where my background's come from, is that planning and preparation and making sure that you protect your downside just in case anything else happens, where other people don't have that knowledge and expertise. And I think that's a strength. That's the great thing about what I've got and what I've acquired over the years. It follows me around with that skill set.
Mhm.
No matter what I'm involved in, that skill set is applicable, no matter what it is.
I would say a big part of making any plans for your future or thinking ahead, you need to be thinking about the risks. And I would imagine you've seen a lot of people who have made plans and had goals and things fall down and not succeed because they've not maybe given themselves enough margins to absorb things that could potentially go wrong or can go wrong. They've just jumped in, made the deal, and not thought about it and not done the numbers correctly or whatever.
You see it every day, Richard. It's called people starting their business.
Yeah.
It's like when somebody starts a business, a local business or a small business, and they're starting up for the first time, I don't go, have you made sure you've done your market research? I just go, oh, congratulations, that's absolutely fantastic. I know damn fine they've done no research, they've no worked out how many people could actually buy, they've no worked out their pricing, they've no worked out what their costs are for a cup of coffee, they've no worked out their overheads to actually absorb over these costs for every cup of coffee. They don't know how many cups of coffee they've got to sell every single day to do that. And then the next thing, they go and do, it's like, oh, I've got something else as well I'm doing. I've got something else. I was like, holy, can you not just sell and make money in this now, so you can actually invest it in the other venture later on, just in case, rather than actually just jumping straight into another, and then you've got another thing that you're going to have to do. So what happens when you go on holiday? Everything stops because it all revolves around you.
Yeah.
I'll just go on holiday. Okay, you're not going to last very long like that. You're going to burn out somehow. Oh, I'll not burn out. Hey, you're preaching the converted here. I've done it. Been there, done it. Had the T-shirt. I've even written the film and book and all the rest of it. Everything like that. I've done it. So if I've done it, I understand exactly what's coming next, and I understand the life cycle of an entrepreneur and the boom and bust and the boredom and the self-sabotage and all the rest of it. These are all different things that you have to take into account. But when most people start their business for the first time, they just walk into it and go, "Oh, it'd be great to have whatever it is, a cleaning company, storage, removal companies, cleaning companies, storage companies, a pub, a restaurant, a cafe, a coffee shop, whatever, a cake shop, anything like that. You get small business. I mean, they're great. They're the lifeblood of our economy because the most of them are obviously there's thousands of them, whereas the big corporations are minuscule in comparison to all the collective individual companies together. But it's all high risk stuff.
Yeah,
it really is. They go on a wing and a prayer, and they just take the gamble. It's a gamble for most of them.
And in that instance, a lot of people don't have the patience or the knowledge of the delayed gratification of just standing still with what they've got for a short period of time. Like, let's take like your property portfolio, for example. For a long time, you had a certain amount, and that ticked over and done really well.
And I bought all the way up to the credit crunch.
Yeah.
So from middle of 1995 up to 2006, and then I sold just before the credit crunch quite a bit of them to make a huge gain, which bought my place in Spain and that, and which was great. And then the credit crunch came along, and then I stopped, and then I started the estate agency. And then that's when the credit crunch happened at the estate agency, because I was selling some of mine, and then the credit crunch happened, and then I never bought until 2010 or 11. I bought 6 because it was a real good deal. It was starting to recover. I had a bit of money at that time, and I saw one, and then I learned a strategy called back to back.
Back to back, yeah.
That you're not allowed to do. You don't do
back to back now. Yeah.
Closest when people do bridge same day and stuff like that, which is a way of getting round that, to be honest. But I'm no into these fandango stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I'm boring. I'm boring at it. I just like being bored at investing. I like being, this is what's going to happen, and I know what's happening next, and I know what's going to accumulate, and this is a no-brainer. That's me. And so I did that with 40 grand and bought 6 properties with 40 grand back to back. Then I stopped, and then I came up to mid 2019, and I started to sell off some again because I thought, oh, I'm getting out of this now. I think it's time to go. Yeah. And then I sold some a bit. I gave some money to Tony to buy our first property, our first house, for herself to live in. Yeah. And I did some other stuff with it as well. And then I thought, what are you doing? What are you doing selling your stuff off? You're chopping down the tree that bears the fruit. Are you an idiot? And then I thought I need to buy again. So I started buying again. Started buying again. And the last 3 years bought 60.
Yeah, and that increased, and you've done even more since then.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah,
I'll wait.
But you've
I'm
added,
quite happy to wait.
Yeah, on top of your original stock. but it's taken time for that. Do you know, it wasn't like let's do all this in 5-year process. You know, this is spanning back. When did
I've
you?
got plenty of time on my hands. I will
Yeah.
live till 120 years old, and everybody go, "Oh my God, that'll be painful." It won't. I'll be a picture of health. I'll be the guy on the television that everybody's going, "Oh my God, how come you're doing triathlons at 100 years old?" Because I was looking at some of the people that are now in VE Day. I mean, they've been through the mill, and obviously they've had a
Yeah.
different journey, but they're 100 years old, and I'm like, really? Yeah, boy. And I'm sitting thinking to myself, God, will I be able to do a triathlon at 100? You bet I will.
Yeah.
Because as far as
Power,
I'm concerned, I'm going to be
power of
exactly the
positive
same
thinking.
now as I am at 100, even though it's 40 years away.
Yeah.
And that's it. But because when you look back, you look at people at 40 in the war, after the war, in the 40s and 50s at 40, and you look at people 40 now, it's like, wait a minute, that's like their daughter. And yet they're
Yeah.
both the same age. So I think with the advent of medicine, with understanding what we're putting into our bodies and all the rest of it, this is
What we
again back
consume.
to the
Yeah.
future. Back to the future. Understanding what we're putting in our bodies, how we're sometimes poisoning our bodies with things like alcohol, with vaping, with cigarettes, with even eating meat and fish and unprocessed foods and stuff like that, or ultra high processed foods. These are
Yeah.
all contributing to long-term illnesses. And I think this is the lessons we're learning. And I think in the next 10 years, everybody will be doing this. Everybody will be doing this. They'll be eating the right stuff. There'll be a mind shift, you know, a focus on people going, oh my God, I never really realized. It'll snowball.
Well, yeah, and that's a great example of how the future is being shaped by the lessons we've learned from the past, and
Of
thinking
course.
about, right, how is this going to affect the longevity of my life? How is these things going to affect in business, my financial position in years to come? And I think people really need to have that forward thinking vision, but using the lessons from the past to shape that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about do you know, the future planning within like a business setup, whether you're doing buy to let or any business model. A lot of people, when they're doing their future planning, sometimes maybe shy away from and maybe make too easy goals potentially, because rather than, I mean, I know your goals when you first set out, was it, did you want to have 1,000 properties, or you had some big audacious goal, which is fine,
It's
but that
about 40,000 properties.
or something like that. Yeah, I knew it was a big figure. And obviously, at this point, potentially, I mean, who knows what the future holds? You're not there, but that's helped you get a hell of a way
Yeah,
towards it.
I'm realistic now. I
Yeah,
was completely naive in the beginning, and that was probably a blessing in disguise, because your naivety sometimes lets you do things that other people wouldn't. Fools rush in where angels feel to tread.
yeah.
However,
You drive yourself forward. Yeah,
it might actually pay off if you understand what you're doing. And my naivety paid off because I didn't let any constraints or restrictions about what everybody else thought would affect me. And that's a classic example. The same with health. When you come back to that, it's like people go, "Oh, you'll not last that long." It's like because of this. It's like, well, I'm not caring. That's not my objective. So when you're in business as well, I think that's the same sort of thing.
yeah. And I think when you're planning for success in your business, you need to think what that actually looks like. And then once you actually, and I mean, is that what you want it to look like? And then if that is, then how are you going to get there? It's that journey. And do you know, there's
Well,
a
how
lot
are
in
you?
it.
How are you going to get there?
Mhm.
That's probably the key question when you start anything. How are you going to get there? How do you know where you're going if you've not actually thought about where you
plan,
want to go?
plan the journey. Yeah,
Let me give you an analogy. Let's play a game of football or a game of rugby, and we'll take away the goals. How do you think you're going to keep the score if there's no goals?
hmm well, you're not going to
And
be with.
yeah, and that's exactly the same as business. It's exactly the same as property investment. How do you, and that's why a lot of people never get started. I was talking about the podcast the other night when I was teaching at an
Yeah,
event. It was like I was saying to people, it's like if you don't have any goals or you don't actually know where you're going, and you're just aimlessly here for the rah rah rah, and you think you're going to be a millionaire, but you've no actually don't know how that's going to be, it's like you'll probably end up drifting away, and in a couple of months you'll just forget all about it and go back to your day-to-day job, and you just go, yeah, that's fine, and you just think you'll just forget about it. It's human nature to do that. It's the mind. It does that to protect itself from the fact that you're possibly a failure.
Yeah.
So it gives you excuses. It makes up excuses for you. That's what
And
it
then
does.
and then it's all very well, no matter what you're doing, and whether it's in your personal life, your business, professional life, if you're thinking, right, this is what I'm going to do, and somebody says, well, how are you going to do that? Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So right, so but then it's like, and we spoke about this, about actually quantifying, like, okay, right, how are you going to do this? How often are you going to do this? Are you going to discipline yourself to do this and this to actually be able to achieve this? Because other than that, it's just pie in the sky, I suppose.
Of course it is. Yeah, definitely. I would say so. If you're not doing that, I mean, I'm doing that right now. We've got various other websites. It's like I've got a vision about what I really want to do, but I'm sitting thinking to myself, I'm not going to kill myself over this. It's like it's something I will do. I've got plenty of time in my hands while everybody else is here just now. Their career will maybe last another 10, 15 years. Might not last forever. For
Yeah.
the day I die, I'll still keep going. It'll not make any difference to me. So I'll still be here when these people are long gone, and I'll still be doing what I'm needing to do. So it's the slow and steady wins the day. It's the tortoise
Yeah.
against the hare. It's the tortoise wins every single time. You see it all the time. You could stop and start, stop and start, stop and start, and then somebody that's doing it consistently and steadily is a way ahead of you because they're doing it consistently and steadily. It's like a lot of shopkeepers who, some of them are actually, oh, well, it's no busy just now. I tell you what, I'll close the shop. That is the worst
Yeah.
thing to do if it's no busy. Because I'll guarantee you'll have somebody that'll turn up and they'll go, you'll never know they've turned up, and they'll go, oh, they're shut, but they're meant to be open.
So, and they're not
And
come
then the
back.
next week, the next time you do that, it's like, oh, well, it's not really busy and it's a terrible day. Nobody's going to arrive here. You shut the shop again, or you decide to go in later, and that same person turns up again and it's closed again when it's meant to be open. Do you think they'll come back?
No.
You've lost them. They've gone somewhere else. They're loyal to them. And then 6 months down the line, you think, why is nobody coming in the door now? I'm about to go to business. This isn't fair. The community is not supporting me. Sorry? You just
You've
said the
not had.
community is not supporting you. You're not even open when you're meant to be open.
Yeah.
Does this sound familiar for a few people listening in?
Hopefully, if they're listening, because I mean, it's you see it throughout different towns, and obviously I go around Fife and things, and I'm like, how is that open? That should be open. It's like middle of the day, and yeah.
Yeah. You never go back. You never, and then everybody wonders why you're no supporting them. It's like, because you're never open at the right times you're meant to be open. When I turn up, you're no there. And I'm no going out my way to turn up to support you, and then you're no open when you're meant to be open.
Yeah, and
So
that
I'm not
comes
going to
back.
continue to do that all the time.
That comes back to consistency and discipline, and
Of course it is.
I think it's with
Discipline is the
anything.
engine that keeps you going when
Yeah,
motivation disappears. Because it's
I
like,
think
I've opened the shop. Look, I'm a shopkeeper. Everybody goes, congratulations. You get all that euphoria from Facebook and all these likes, and it's like that dopamine hit. And then after a few weeks, it wears off, and you go, this is the reality of my life, making
the
coffee for other
day-to-day,
people
the
and
actual
listening to their
day-to-day.
sad stories. Listen to their sad stories sometimes and their terrible days. And it's like I'm sitting behind the counter having to suck it all up and be that person.
Feel
It's
like a
the
social worker.
shoulder, like the publican, like that person, their shoulder to cry on for some people. And that's effectively the life. And then they get bored of that because they're an entrepreneur. They've got to be wired and fired and excited and keep doing things all the time. So what happens is they then self-sabotage that and they go and start something else.
Yeah, but what really should be done is obviously is to embrace that time, whether it might be a wee bit mundane or something, because the time you spend allowing that to grow is going to be the thing that's going to allow you to move on and make something bigger or do something bigger and better.
What was that? Oh, I heard somebody saying, suck it up, buttercup.
And unfortunately, that's kind of the reality. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not going to all be sunshine and likes on Facebook and things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The day to day.
We all want to stand in the line for success, but nobody wants to stand in the line for the work it has to be done.
Yeah.
I do, because I realise it's the work it actually gives you the success. I'm prepared to work and prepared to do it and prepared to keep going and keep going and keep going to get what I want. And I realise that, and it's acceptance for that. There is no shortcuts. There's no get there quick. It does not exist. It is the biggest myth ever.
Yeah. And you know, people might be listening and think, right, okay, well, you know that because it's the road trodden by you, you know that. But then it's easy to
I know
not
that
make that
because
mistake.
everybody else.
But then listen to somebody who's done it before and don't make that mistake then. Like
Yeah,
what we've
crypto. How many people
yeah.
have lost thousands and millions upon millions in crypto? Like, because they're all on the bandwagon. It's like, this is going to be great. Everybody's. What are you buying? You're buying a coded number. You're not buying anything else other than a coded number. It allows you to say that you've got a value with that coded number. Apparently, somebody gets that coded number. Apparently, there's an AI machine. It could break it, a quantum computer. It's like and nick everybody's crypto. So you're in crypto. It's like you're off your head. It's like it's not even something you can hold. It's not
not
even
tangible.
something.
No.
It's like gold you can hold, diamonds, whatever you can hold. I'm not saying invest in them, by the way, but I'm saying it's something tangible you can hold, a property you can see.
Yeah. You could see
bricks
it, you could
and
feel
mortar.
it.
Yeah, I could touch it. Bricks and mortar. It's like when you can see that and you can see a product getting done, manufacturing a company, it's like you're doing something. Manufacturing something, a service you're providing, something that you're doing. It's like you just don't get rich quick is only for a few. And unfortunately, these few are held up in society as like, look how much money they've made. And everybody goes, oh, that could be me. And it's like, no, that is called the airplane game. That's this one person, it's one in that industry or one in that field or that investment industry. And everybody thinks that they're going to be in their position. It's like, no, in that industry, there's probably only one. And the only way you're going to win is for that one to move out and you get their seat. And by the time the airplane crashes, everybody else burns as well at the same time and loses all their money. That's the airplane game. That's banned, by the way. It's illegal. But that's kind of like it. It still exists in different forms nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody thinks that they can get. It's like, we're going to be rich. It's the Del Boy thing. This time next year, we'll be millionaires. Rudders. Aye. It's like crazy. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. For most people, that is never the case. There's exceptions that win the lottery, but they're few and far between, 1 in 15 million.
Yeah.
Like 4 people out the whole of Britain, because there's 60 million. It's like 4 people could win the million then. Are you going to be one of these 4? What is the chances? 1 in 15 million.
Very, very slim. Yeah.
But the hope though, I'll buy a ticket. I'll spend my money. You're not investing your money, by the way. You're spending your money.
Yeah.
For somebody else to win. Why do you just go into a lottery and don't even do a lottery and say, I tell you what, we'll all club together and we'll all put £1,000 every single month in, 12 of us. And every single month, one person out of that 12 on rotation will get £12,000.
That's quite good.
And then the next month, the next person will get £12,000 because we're all putting 1,000 in. And the next month, somebody will get 12,000. The next person will get 12,000. And everybody got a boost of 12,000 every month.
At the end of that year, you've put 12,000 in, so you'd only be getting your 12,000 back. Is that right?
I know, but the thing is, you've got 12,000 all at once. You can buy a property with that.
Ah, right, okay, right.
So you can start your journey. So everybody else helps everybody else start a journey in their investment field, and they invest, and then the next month the other person invests, the next month the other person invests. So you don't need to have to save up for it.
You don't, right? Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot better sense.
Because the likelihood is, if you save up for it, you've got less of a chance of doing it, and that is a surefire bet. Having a wee club like that where you all put money in, and every month one person gets that money. That's how it should work.
That's quite good. Where did you get that from?
Just thought it up.
That's a bit. Yeah, that's quite
good. Greed says otherwise. Greed is good, says Gordon Gekko.
And by that, do you mean that some people don't want others to succeed.
Yeah. Well, they like to see others succeed, but no more,
No,
no ahead
not
of
more
them.
than them.
Yeah, no
not
more than them. Oh, well done. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing better than you now. Oh, well, okay. That's a bit. No. I've seen people turn on me.
Yeah.
I've seen people that's champion me in the beginning, but as soon as I've got ahead of them, it's like, oh, I don't like this guy. It's like, we need to write keyboard warriors. Like, that's what happens. I've seen people come to me for advice and me giving them all that advice. And then the next minute, when they get on their own thing, they think they're doing well. It's like, well, I didn't need you anymore. I'll just start castigating you now.
Is it
Okay.
great as the green-eyed monster or whatever it is?
It's jealousy. Jealousy
Yeah.
is the green-eyed monster, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's what happens. It's more jealousy and things like that as well. But it's the whole thing about their opinion of me is none of my business.
Mhm.
Doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah, I always like that. Someone else's opinion of you isn't really any of your business, so why let?
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
couldn't care less what they think. It's
yeah,
what I think about me is the most important thing. That's coming back to Unleashed from Tony Robbins.
yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely is.
it's what you think about yourself is the most important thing in your life. It's how you see yourself. That's where it all emanates from. It's what you think about yourself. It's how you feel about yourself. It will give or empower everybody else, or it will pull everybody else down round about you, depending on what
Yeah,
you are. If you're negative, insular, and all the rest of it, you'll suck the life out of everybody else. If you're positive, forward thinking, you love what you do. Life is just life is good. Not life is, oh my God, life is great. No, we're not talking about evangelist sort of thing. We're talking about life is good, very content, all the rest of it. You will attract people towards you, and you will empower other people to be like that as well. Your light was never meant to be put under a bush and hidden. Your light was meant to shine, so it will give
mhm.
permission for other people to shine as well. That's Coach Carter, by the way, just in case anybody jumps in and says that. It's like, that wasn't mine. That's it.
That was not a Jim Parker original, but
yeah, but
really
these
good
are
fun.
these are opportunities for you to understand. Understanding yourself is probably the most important thing ever. And once you master yourself and your own thoughts, nothing can stop you. Absolutely nothing.
And possibly understanding yourself is probably one of the most challenging things you'll do. But once you get there, it can be quite prolific in how successful you are in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I
But in
say now
terms
and
of,
again, that's why I tell myself off and go, don't touch. Just leave it, Jim. Let it
Mhm,
work. It's working fine. You don't need to tinker with it. It is not, because it ends up being the Venus de Milo.
mhm.
Know what the Venus de Milo is?
Explain
It's the
to us now.
statue with no arms.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know what
Yeah,
that
but
is.
the guy goes chip, chip, chip. Oh, I could just get this. Oh, chip, 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 chip.
And
Oh,
then done too
the
much.
arms. The arms are falling off. I can't put them back on now. It's like, that's the sort of thing. It's like, just no, you don't need to do it anymore. You don't need to have another turn of the screw and then over tighten it and then it goes off thread and then you've ruined it. You don't need to have that. And I've done that. I did that on my first motorbike on the sump. I over tightened the nut and it cracked a sump case. And then that was it. And it was just like, oh, I didn't need to do that. So
Yeah, he
the
doesn't need to go
lessons
that
that,
far with
yeah,
it.
the lessons that you learn. I used to take a wee rage when I was younger and I used to throw my bike away and kick it about the garden. And my dad turned round one day and says, well, you're only doing it to yourself.
Mhm.
It's no harming anybody else. Look at the state of your bike.
Yeah,
Soon learned a lesson.
yeah, and the lesson there is to take a step back and think, right, okay, what am I actually doing here?
Well, at that age, I mean, I was only about 8 or 9.
But see how that
It's your
stuck with you.
typical
So,
kid taking a tantrum, and it's like throwing the toys out the pram or something like that, and just going crazy and kicking holes in their bike or something, and having to go at their bike for their anger. And it's like, you're only doing it to yourself.
but the lesson stuck with you, and I think that's probably the most important thing then.
Yeah, yeah. I still have to remind myself sometimes. I've no doubt everybody has to do that. I've no doubt everybody in their life, even as an adult, they still have to remind
Not to take a
themselves
tantrum.
not to be the kid that throws the toys out the pram and self-sabotages themselves. I think that's the key here. So that's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. But then let's just, I'm going to round up about thinking into the future, and whether it's, you know, from your personal life or whether it's in your business life or whatever. If you're planning and making plans for the future, I think it's really important to get what's up here down on to paper and think about what you're actually doing, and writing that down and being quite honest and specific with yourself about what you want to achieve. Do you know, if it's business goals, or if it's, do you know, like I say, if it's, even if it's like fitness goals, if you want to be competing in some sort of triathlon, or, do you know, 100 meters, or whatever it is, do you know, be quite honest and specific about how you're going to get there, who's going to work with you, how much effort you're going to need to put in, what the results are going to be for you, and how, do you know, and like we were talking about earlier, quantifying things, and what's the actual benefit, and how incrementally you're going to be able to achieve that.
Absolutely.
But definitely putting things from here onto paper, I think, is quite a good process, and being able to ascertain what your goals are and how you're going to achieve them. And that's something you've talked.
It's quite interesting. Let me just see if I could find this, because I actually came across it the other day. My workbook. From. Remember, I talked about going to see Keith Cunningham in the workshop
across in Paris.
Yeah, across in Paris.
Yeah.
So I actually found the workbook. I found the workbook. Here it is. In my pile with Maximum Impact, Keith Cunningham, his workshop. And remember, I talked about writing all these different things. When I went away to that cafe, and he says, "What do you need to achieve? What do you need to want to do?" And it's like, I've got 8 pages worth of stuff.
I bet that was quite to read back through that. I bet that was quite. I mean, what did that feel like to go through all that after all these years?
Yeah, well, I just briefly looked at some of it, and it was like, what's really holding you back? What are you doing? It's like, well, classic example I've got written here. One of the things is like hiding away and doing accounts in Caledonian House. Because I used to be at Caledonian House when we first started, and it's like it was easy for me just to hide in Caledonian House and do accounts. Don't make enough phone calls, things like that. Listening to continuous education CDs. I need to do that. Looking at too many shiny pennies. I've got it written here instead of focusing on the problem. Don't take enough breaks. God, I wish I'd learned that sooner. Trying to be all to everyone. Here's another classic example of something I shouldn't be doing. Spending time to think as well. That's where I got that from. Spending actual time to think. Yeah. Any pain is an action signal to look at the space. It's all about me and not about me. That's a paradox. It's all about me and not about me. Awareness is always the first step to change. So it's that self-awareness is the first step to change. I mean, this is from a guy this is Rich Dad, by the way. This is Rich Dad. This is all the notes I got from him at the time. So it's astronomical. It's and how much you learn as a result of that. But coming into this and it's the Back to the Future, and that's effectively what I'm kind of doing. I'm going back to things that I've written, and this is why I tell a lot of people to be in continuous education. Now, the reason I say continuous education is because by being in continuous education, you might not need that lesson that you're learning at that time, but you might actually need it later on. And it's later on it all comes back to you.
Yeah, and when you talk about continuous education, you don't mean sitting in a classroom, and it's
no, I'm talking about reading the right books and all the rest of it. That's what I'm ultimately talking about. Reading the right books, getting the right information, listening to the right people overall, and making sure you know exactly what you know exactly the field that you're wanting to concentrate in. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
We have lights again. My lights went out. I think
Definitely.
that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would totally agree. And I mean, we're going to round up today, but I think that and your notebook there from years ago, Jim, is a great example of how you in the past put things down and you planned for the future and where you are now, and to look back, for you must be quite a profound thing to do. So then
Yeah,
it just shows the power of future planning.
and it's got a really good formula here. It's got value equals benefits over price.
Okay.
Which is quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Growth requires failure. That was the first note I wrote here. Growth requires failure. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly.
Poorly. All right. Okay.
Yeah. In the beginning, in brackets.
All right. Yeah, I've got you right. So
anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. Listen to that. When you think about it, I think we should do a show about this the next time. Maximum impact. That's what we'll call it.
Okay.
Maximum impact. That'll be the next one. So next week, maximum impact. We're going to call it, and we're going to talk about. I'm going to get this out, my book, and I'll talk to you about what I've been taught by Rich Dad. Worth an absolute fortune, and a really good inspirational businessman.
I was going to say that's quite a good idea actually, Jim, because I know there's a lot of notes in there that we could pull a lot out from and discuss. So that's what we'll do then.
Maximum impact, what Rich Dad taught me.
Okay. So we'll look out for that. That's what's going to be our next topic for.
Well, it's maximum impact. We didn't want to mention Rich Dad because they'll think everybody will think it's Kiyosaki, and it's no.
No. Yeah, okay. Right, that's good. Well, let's wrap up today then. We just could all look forward to that next Monday. We will be back as usual for the Wealth Creation Show, and we'll delve into that a lot deeper. But yeah, future planning and taking that forward from where you are by planning for your goals in the future and working through that process. Back to the future, guys. I hope that was really helpful, and we'll be back next week as usual. I'll jump in the comments after this and speak to you guys. If it's the rerun, still jump in the comments. We could come back to you. And until next time, Jim and I will see you later.